He picked Alabama to win the national championship, so we thought we better wait until we got a little better to have him back on.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson, that's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein, that's him. And Jake Crain of Crain and Company with his lovely daughter Viola, that's him and her. We want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making this first listen every single day. You guys are the best. And this episode is brought to you by Game Time. We'll talk about them in just a bit. Jake, pleasure to have you on again, bud. And we thought, hey, you picked Alabama to win the national championship. We played Florida State, stunk it up. We said, whoa, let's take a little break from Jake until we get this thing under control.
Yeah, well, you know, it's first off, thank you guys for having me. And my wife had to run for an emergency at work, so I got my 9-month-old right here. But she's a trooper. Which it's funny, you know, in our house, my wife's from Tuscaloosa, I'm from Auburn, so it's an absolute battle for her who she's going to root for. But no, I tell you, I was very rarely, just with what I've done in my past, obviously playing and coaching in college football at the Division I level for a while, am I shocked? But that first game against Florida State absolutely shocked me. And you know, the one thing I will say is after that, you know, when look, I was down on the effort, and that's what surprised me the most, because there's a standard obviously at Alabama and in the SEC and at this level of college football that wasn't met. But the one thing I was saying was, if anybody has the personnel to fix it, it's Alabama. Because if the personnel's not good enough, you can witchcraft and wizardry your way through play calling and this, that, the other, and try to trick people, but it's not going to work. And Alabama did have the personnel to fix it. So the prediction's looking a lot better right now. I'm glad you guys gave me a little hiatus, because Lord knows what would be in the comments if I came on the week after that. But, you know, kudos to Kalen DeBoer and that staff, because while all the outside noise justifiably was negative, you really find out what you're made of. And this is why I think Auburn needs to move on from Hugh Freeze, because they're mentally weak. You find out what you're made of when it's at its toughest. You find out what you're made of in those critical moments. And I think it tells you a lot about not only the type of men that are on that football team, but the type of men that are leading that football team, that not only did they take that in and want to get better, it may be the best thing that ever happened to this team, to be honest with you. I really firmly believe that, especially now with a 12-team playoff, because, you know, not only, you know, talking about the coaching staff, but Ty Simpson as well. You talk about guts and mental fortitude. What that guy's done is so impressive. And you want to talk about making a lot of money. He's made himself a lot of money so far this year. And I like when good things happen to good people.
So, Jake, what do you think is the impetus for the turnaround? I mean, it's easy to say, well, it just lit a fire on them. Look, you weren't the only one with some bad predictions. I said after the Florida State game, I said, look, this game wasn't Ty Simpson's fault, but maybe we need to make a quarterback change just to have a spark. I mean, I was grasping at straws, because I was in Tallahassee and it was disgusting. And lo and behold, they didn't need to make a quarterback change. Shoot, they needed to give him more stuff. And kudos for the coaching staff to know what's right. But what has really been the impetus for this? Because it feels like Florida State was a Mike Dubose era game, and now we're in the middle of the Saban dynasty again.
Well, look, I'm a firm believer, and there is no fuel as powerful, especially to an 18 to 24-year-old American male, than embarrassment. And when you look at what was going on social media, the videos of Bray Hubbard, the videos of the D-line laughing as Florida State's taking a knee, and what people don't see is that film session. There is nothing more embarrassing than watching yourself on film get pushed around, especially when you have that Alabama A on your jersey, and there's that expectation around the team and yourself. And you know, I call it tackle and fuel, to quote Bobby Boucher. Nothing gets young guys more fired up than being embarrassed and wanting to get back on the right side of it. So I think that has a lot to do with it, because schematically, it's not like Alabama's doing a ton different. Kane's made some adjustments, especially when they're getting that side-to-side motion pre-snap. The fits, I think, have continually gotten better at the linebacker and secondary position. But it's not like Alabama reinvented their offense or defense. They're just playing with outstanding effort, outstanding pride. And to be honest with you, they're going out there trying to knock people upside down They're trying to drive guys in the dirt, and that's what this game's about, and they've gotten back to it. And once you get a taste of the filet mignon, you ain't going back to bologna.
Yeah, I get asked all the time, Jake. I mean, how do you explain, Jimmy, how do you explain the Florida State game? And my answer's changed as Alabama's evolved, because it's just difficult to explain. Initially, I was like, well, they just weren't ready to play. But the more I've thought about it and even reviewed it, they did come out of the gate well. The offense was really good on the opening drive, drove the length of the field, time-consuming drive with balance, scored. Defense holds them to 3 and out, but there's a penalty on down and allowed them to continue a drive.
What game, Jimmy, does that remind you of? Alabama just played it. Go to the Missouri game.
Missouri.
Didn't it remind you of all of them? I mean, Vandy scored on the first possession.
Yeah.
Florida State did. Missouri did. And all those drives looked like, oh, my God. How are we going to stop anybody?
Jimmy's point, Missouri did the same thing and got a penalty to extend Alabama's drive.
That is
really because it was going to be 3rd and 18. You were going to get a screen, you were going to get a draw, you were going to get maybe some type of crossing route mesh, something like that, and you were going to have to punt it and give it right back to Missouri with a 7-point lead. But again, it's you taking it. Alabama has totally flipped the coin on not making stupid mistakes, making the other team beat themselves, and then when the game plan has to change, which it always does, they've been evolving, not dissolving. That's been the difference. So as far as it's not just going out there and running the right route. It's, hey, I'm not going to take a swing at this guy. Yeah, he may have hit me first, or, hey, I'm not going to hit this guy later. I'm not going to stand over this guy and celebrate. I'm going to go celebrate with my teammates. It's a maturation in real time. But guys, Mike Tyson said it best as far as the first drive goes. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Alabama's plan was working out perfectly until Florida State went down there and scored and then stopped them. And then it's, oh, my God, the momentum shifted. What are we going to do? But I'll go back to what I said earlier. I think that Florida State game might be the best thing that could have happened to this Alabama football team, because all that arrogance went out the window and it just became about whipping somebody across the line of scrimmage from you.
No, it couldn't be. Like I said, it's not about not being ready to play so much as maybe they weren't ready to respond when they got hit in the mouth.
Yeah,
they weren't ready to respond. Then they developed that. Now they do.
And again, how many plays, whether it be offense or defense, has Alabama made in clutch moments? You look at Ty Simpson's throws against Missouri. You look at the defense right before halftime, not only getting a stop, but scoring on their own to really close that game out. Tennessee was fried chicken and barbecue chicken after that play. So, and you're battle tested, right? Sometimes you got to go through a little hell to get to heaven, man. And that's what it kind of feels like with this Alabama team.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt about it. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about Ty Simpson when we come back and talk about his potential for the Heisman Trophy after this stellar performances he's been having. Right now, though, I want to tell you about Mazda, where you can move and be moved. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Plus awards than anyone else. That's of August 25. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every single model. Like our players at Alabama, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Then there's Peloton. Jimmy loves him with Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with a brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move. Whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors, whatever, Peloton wants to help you. This is the training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performances. So let yourself run or lift or flex or push forward, whatever. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. That's ONEPELOTON.com, onepeloton.com. Jimmy Stein guarantee. Oh, I need everybody here. Hey, Viola. She's cute as a button.
She looks like her mother, thank goodness.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, that's a good baby just to sit here and listen to a bunch of guys babble. I mean, that's
Yeah,
great.
Look, she loves
tough
it.
for me.
She loves it.
It's tough for me to sit here and listen to this show most days.
All right, so Ty Simpson, we've talked about him. His turnaround. It's not even his turnaround. He's been good all year. He was fine against Florida State. He was not the problem at all. But he is really just burst on the scene. Do you feel like Ty Simpson is maybe the Heisman leader because there's nobody else who's really stood out? Or do you feel like he's been that good of a standout?
Well, look, I think two things can be true at once. Mendoza, in that Oregon game, he was good. He wasn't amazing. But you feel like, and this isn't a knock against Alabama, that, Indiana's won a lot more games as a team as far as complementary football goes. Ty many times has had to save them. But, that's why you play the quarterback position. That's why you recruit that guy. That's why you let the guy who wins the job win the job. So to me, I don't think it's as close as what some other people think. And then Carson Beck struggling the other night really, really increased the odds, I think, of Ty maybe even running away with this thing at the end of the day. And to me, I'm going to tell you a comp, and I haven't heard anybody else say this. And when I say this name, you're going to be like, well, no, he's more athletic than that. But go watch his highlight tape in college. Go watch Kirk Cousins. He reminds me so much of Kirk Cousins at Michigan State. Kirk used to have a little more wiggle than he does now. The funny part is he was still shopping at TJ Maxx like he does now. But I love his game. I think that the places he's continued to get better is being able to extend the play inside the pocket and outside the pocket while keeping his eyes down the field. How many times have we seen Ty almost bail outside of the pocket, realizes he needs to step up in the pocket, and then throw an absolute laser to somebody coming back and working back to the ball? The scramble drill has become really, really effective for Alabama, and there is nothing that guts you more, believe me, I've done it as a defensive play caller, than getting them into 3rd and 7, getting a good pass rush that gets the guy off his spot, and then he finds a guy last minute for 8.5 yards to get the first down and continue the drive. So I think Ty just continues to gain more confidence, but also gain more maturity. I mean, how many times have we talked about a new starter coming in there not being afraid to throw the check down, not being able to throw the ball away? He is running the offense. He's pressing the gas pedal and screaming America when he has to, but he doesn't rely on it every single time. I'm blown away by the maturity of him. And what's crazy is you look at the experience between him and a guy like Jackson Arnold. Jackson Arnold had more experience in big moments than Ty Simpson had coming in this year. And one of them looks like a blind kid in a minefield, and the other one's starting to look like Doctor Strange.
Oh, that's great. I want to talk about that comp because I like it so much. The way I've described Ty even before the season, and it's played out well, is he's a real unique combination. And this is going to sound like I'm describing Kirk Cousins. He's a real unique combination of game manager coach's son. He's got those intangibles. Kirk Cousins has an IQ of like 290.
Yeah, he's a scientist.
Ty has a football IQ of like 290 because he grew up in it. It's not just that dad's a head coach, dad's a QB coach. It's not just that dad's a QB coach, dad's a QB. I mean, Ty grew up immersed in that. Ty's little brother is a really good quarterback prospect. He's completely immersed in it. He's a coach on the field, but you can't just describe him that way simply. Mm-hmm. Even if he didn't have all those intangibles, he's got these pretty amazing tangibles. His arm talent, his athleticism, his feet. It's not just the innate ability to play quarterback like he and Kirk Cousins have. It's this playmaking ability. And Kirk Cousins has thrown for 1 million yards in the NFL. You don't do that because you're smart. You do that because you're gifted.
Yeah.
Ty Simpson is like Kirk Cousins. That's why I really like that comp. That unique. Not everybody has that where they've got the intangibles and the tangibles so highly like Ty does.
Well, I call it Gonzaga ability. Everybody used to, Gonzaga would walk in the gym and you'd be like, dude, look at these guys. They're wearing high socks and goggles. We're going to kill them. And all of a sudden you look up halfway through the second half, you're down 25 and it's getting worse. Like it's it's not like he's the biggest guy in the world either. It's not like he's 6'6" out there doing it, and can see over everybody and things like that. If you watch, if I'm an NFL GM and a scout, and you check off these boxes, and Jim Nagy's a great friend of mine. We have a very good relationship with the Senior Bowl, and what these guys look at. Ty checks every single box, and he's not out there trying to be Cam Ward. He changes his arm angle when he has to, but he makes the layups. He makes the free throws. If he can see it, he's going to make it. But then all of a sudden, he'll pump fake you, drive to the hole, and do a reverse layup. And you're like, oh, my gosh, where did that come from? That's why, again, he's so hard to defend. We always say on Crain and Company, our show, whether it's college baseball, college basketball, college football, the teams that win the most can win the most ways. And the players that have the most success can have the most success in the most ways. And if it's got to be on the ground, like if you're Alabama, not that they do it a lot or really they've needed it. If you run the zone read, you have to respect Ty Simpson's legs. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he can get to the edge on you and he's a smart runner. So if you're Ryan Grubb, it's got to be so much fun calling plays because the whole menu's open. It's not the breakfast menu or the brunch menu or the lunch menu or the dessert service. It's the whole menu. It's a Waffle House situation.
Cheesecake Factory. It's the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh,
menu.
yeah. Heck, they cut their menu in half and it's still 73 pages.
It's like 3 volumes. I mean, you encyclopedia salesman said.
Yeah. It's just, and I will say this, Ty Simpson's dad's a better man than me because you'd be playing at UT Martin right now, and we'd be balling.
Like, yeah, you're gonna get developed right here at the house.
Yeah. Guess where your little brother's going? I gave y'all one. Now this one's mine.
I think they call their Heisman the Walter Payton Award.
Yeah,
they just would have given it to Tom mid-season.
He'd look like Gandalf in that league.
I did have this image. You were talking about. He doesn't have all these physical attributes, or he doesn't even have like the Trevor Lawrence flowing locks of hair. I mean, he's got a haircut you can set your watch by. I mean, it's like it's almost militaristic in a way. He's just a regular dude that is devoutly Christian, that is a super nice kid, that doesn't go out and party all the time. He's not Joe Namath. He just goes out there and gets it done. And
he's very Southern. He's very Southern. He's very Alabama. Yeah. He's very Southern.
Well, he is who he is. That's the thing. He's not trying to be somebody else.
Exactly.
Like he's not trying to be, B-Rad from the Boo or anything like that. Like he is who he is. And that allows you play like who you are, right? And not saying that everybody has to be that way or that's the perfect way to be, but Ty Simpson is who he's always been. And there's a freedom in that, especially when you're out there playing. And I think there's a respect you get from the locker room. It's kind of like Stetson Bennett a little bit. Now I know Stetson maybe had a few more Coors Lights than what Ty's had, but I think one of the reasons Georgia respects him and they respect Gunner, it's like, oh, dude's not fake. Like, and that buys you a lot of points with other guys. And I think it sets a good example for everyone in that locker room. We don't all have to be the same. We just have to be ourselves.
I think Ty could have outrun those cops that time though.
Yeah, look, Stetson's got some witch in him too. It's kind of a little bit of a similarity, I think, with them and being underestimated as far as their legs go. But no, he's a guy that what do they say? You'd want your daughter to date. Now she isn't dating anybody till she's 40, so he's going to be too old at that point. But I just really like everything about him.
He's got a little brother. He's got a little brother.
Oh yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about it.
He might be old and have a lot of NFL money. You might be okay.
Again, we'll say that dowry's important, bro. I need to see it.
All right, now we get to talk a little game time. Y'all know I love game time. I use it all the time. I've used it for everything. I've used it for college football, college basketball, NFL, pro basketball, pro baseball. I've used it for concerts. It's everything. It's great. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's just nothing like it. And I use Game Time to get my tickets, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. You can go find exquisite deals for as low as $25. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply because they apply to everything. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, download Game Time today. All right, let's talk a little SEC and college football in general. Right now, I mean, after all said and done, we are a little bit past the middle of the season.
Yeah.
And it feels like Alabama and Georgia may play in Atlanta again. Is that what's going to happen?
Well, that's what I picked before the season. Again, it's funny. We've had all this parity in college football, right? And you feel like there hadn't been that one team that's just so much better than everybody else. I mean, even with Ohio State, we're going to see, offensively kind of where they end up. And then Alabama's been playing great. Indiana's been playing great. But we're still probably going to end up with Alabama and Georgia, even though A&M, if they split these next two at LSU and at Missouri, I think there's a pretty good chance that we may see Alabama and Texas A&M, believe it or not, in the SEC championship. But to this point, what's crazy is we sit here and look at all this turnover, and we're looking at a Georgia defense that has struggled a lot more than their ones in the past, but they continue to find ways to win. That's why culture is so important, right? And kind of being gritty and winning in multiple ways, like I mentioned, is so important. But yeah, I think a lot of the smart money's on Bama, Georgia.
Well, let me ask this. Okay. Because I was thinking about that too, and I'm too lazy to look it up. I'm hoping you know. If Texas A&M loses to LSU or whomever, Missouri, that's not crazy to think. They got them back to back. They lose that game, or to Texas even. And let's just say they lose one. And let's say Georgia wins out, and let's say Bama drops one. Drops to anybody, any of these two. So they'd all have one loss, and I would assume they would probably be the only three with one loss. I mean, let's just pretend like for a minute. How would that tiebreaker work? I mean, I assume Bama would get in because they had to head to Georgia, but then how does the A&M Georgia one work?
Well, when you look at the tiebreakers, outside of Alabama automatically being in because they have the tiebreaker over Georgia, therefore putting it between Georgia and A&M, you look at common opponents. That'll be the first thing you look at, because there's like 7 tiebreakers. And to be honest with you, she just learned how to wave. Sorry, so she thinks it's but you look at common opponents, and I believe it starts with the highest ranked common opponent. I'd have to go back through and look at Georgia, baby,
She's good.
Georgia and Texas A&M. I don't know exactly who would take it right now. But it would be interesting to have a scenario. And guys, I don't think the SEC is alone. I think we're going to have a tiebreaker scenario in maybe every conference except the Big Ten, because I think Ohio State and Indiana are both going undefeated in the regular season.
Wow. Yeah, I like Texas A&M is interesting. I think if Texas A&M beats LSU this weekend, it's going to be hard not to put or pencil in the Aggies into Atlanta if they beat LSU. By the end of this week, I'm going to talk myself into picking LSU. Not because I've seen anything that LSU has done so far that makes me believe that, but A&M has just looked susceptible. They just gave up 1 million points this past weekend. LSU's at home. That is a tough place to win. I just kind of like LSU at home this weekend. Now, if A&M finds a way to win that one, it's kind of hard to imagine them not in Atlanta at the end, unless Texas somehow fixes themselves. That doesn't seem likely either. Let
me say something though, and is LSU a tough place to win? Yes. I mean, is it? Yeah. I mean, it is in a sense.
Ask anyone but Alabama fans.
Yes, I guess.
I mean, we're
not the right people to ask.
Yeah, it's wow, what a high class problem. But no, it's definitely a tough place to play, especially at night.
Their 1-loss record at night is ridiculous. Especially if you remove Alabama.
Well, I guess I just couldn't get that out of my head.
Yeah. Well, good. That makes one of us. Actually, it makes 2 of us. But no, look, A&M's defense has struggled on the road too. If you look, and again, that makes sense. You go to Notre Dame, you give up 40, but you won. You go to Arkansas, you give up 42 or whatever it was, or 32. I can't remember exactly. But you won. What I'm interested to see is how conservative the play calling is from A&M if LSU struggles on offense early, to just not try and lose it, which I don't think is a good plan. But, if you look at Marcel Reed, I mean, even going back to I think the Notre Dame game, he was 17-37, but had like 300 yards almost. He hadn't been really efficient, but it's the run after the catch for A&M that's been deadly with Craver and Concepcion. She's trying to get my earpiece. You just found out. No, but I tell you, it's going to be fascinating. And if you're an A&M fan, you want to win every game. I get it. But again, if you split these next 2 on the road, you can still lose to Texas, which I know they don't want to, but that's on the road. Texas is fighting for their life. 10-2 gets you in the SEC or the Big Ten. Doesn't in the ACC or the Big 12, but 10-2 automatically gets you in. That's why when you look around the league, I mean, there's a bunch of teams that have a chance to get to 10-2. The ones I think that will are A&M. I think Ole Miss will get to 10-2 because you can make an argument that Ole Miss has the quote-unquote easiest schedule down the stretch, even though they got to go to Oklahoma this week, which isn't going to be a walk amongst the tulips by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm interested to see is, can any of Vandy, because you got to look at the schedule, any of Vandy, Oklahoma, or Texas get to 10-2 with their remaining schedule. That's what's going to be interesting to see, because that's going to take some heavy lifting with who those teams have to play as we get into the back half.
All right, we're going to do rapid fire, Jimmy. I'll ask a quick question. You ask a quick question. Is Lane Kiffin coaching at Ole Miss next year?
Okay. So
are you unfamiliar?
I know this is supposed to be rapid
fire.
fire. I understand. But we actually have an episode coming out with Pete Nakos from On 3 on Thursday where we asked him because Florida wants Lane Kiffin. That's there's no bones about it. That's the number one guy. I think it's a great fit. I'm going to say no. I think he ends up at Florida.
Wow.
Okay.
That's fun. That's fun.
Perfect fit.
How many SEC teams make the playoff?
4. 3 from the Big Ten, 2 from the ACC, Notre Dame, and a G5.
Okay.
And Texas Tech.
Yeah, and 1 for the Big 12. That's exactly right. That's who I have.
Texas
If you look at our college football rankings today, that's our playoff projections. That's what I have.
All right. This isn't a question. Well, it is. I'm going to make it a question. It's just a one-word question. Auburn.
Blah!
Was that you or Viola?
Oh, that was me. It reminds me of The Wedding Singer when he's like, "Somebody kill me, please."
So, I mean, what's going on?
Well, I mean, you guys have watched it. It's again, it goes back to, we can talk about play calling, we can talk about scheme, we can even talk about personnel. There's a great quote in Remember the Titans: "Attitude reflects leadership." And when you look at what Auburn has done in key moments when they have to have it, even on defense at some points, and the defense has been great, they are mentally weak. They're mentally weak, and that's from the head coach. And listen, I understand. Look, part of being a coach is to turn your players into great men, but you also have to win football games. And you do that by sometimes having a little bit of that about you. And this whole resurrection tour thing that's going on, it's great, in real life and what matters the most. And I think Hugh Freeze, look, and I know a lot of Alabama fans will disagree. I know him personally. He's been nothing but great to me, even when I've been critical of him. His family loves him. He's a great family man. But Auburn's not paying you $7 million just to be a great family man. Like, they're paying you to win. And this Auburn team is mentally weak, and it starts with a mental weakness at the top, and that's Hugh Freeze. And it bleeds into the players because it's impossible not to when you're the one giving the message. So that's my thing. At the end of the day, you can call great plays and stuff like that, but go watch the Missouri players before overtime in Auburn and see what Zion Young is saying to him. Boy, I tell you what, it'll be a cold day in hell before my guys ever went out there and took that at home or on the road. It's soft. I don't care how close you are. It don't matter because you're losing and you're weak.
You like John Summerall? What are your thoughts on John Summerall
like
as potential Auburn head coach?
I like him a lot. Just go listen to him. You can tell by the way a man carries himself. You can tell by the way a man talks if he's really about it or not. I think Clark Lee's another name to keep an eye on as well. And if he don't get the Penn State job, because I know they want him really bad, but I think Summerall, and listen to all these people that are like, "Oh, well, you can't go hire another group of 5 coach." That is the dumbest way to go about hiring somebody in any business, not just college football. You go hire the best guy. If he's a group of 5 guy, you hire him. If he's a power 4 guy, you hire him. The minute you start putting people into boxes is the minute you start making the wrong hire.
Nick Saban was a head coach at Toledo. Urban Meyer was head coach at Utah when they were group of 5. They weren't in the Big 12 back then when Urban Meyer was the head coach at Utah. All sorts of Hall of Fame coaches have come from.
Yeah, it's you go get the best guy. That's what it's about.
All right, Jake. Hey, look, if $7 million comes from Auburn for being a great family man, I'm going to suggest that you get that $7 million for having a baby on this entire
I'll do it for half, Luke.
Look at that.
You're a great American.
Negotiating against himself.
Yeah. Hey, I under promise and over deliver.
There you go. There you go. All right, Jake, thanks so much for being with us, buddy. Y'all go check out Crain and Company. It's the best. Man, they're everywhere. The algorithm has caught me with Crain and Company. Like, they're everywhere on my Twitter, on my YouTubes, on my Facegrams, all of them. They're everywhere.
It's
So
Look outside your
show.
window. I'm there. But no, I
All right,
appreciate you guys having me. Y'all are doing a great job, and congrats to the Alabama fans that hung in there. You know, it's well worth it now, and looking forward to seeing if my national. Because again, it's funny. Everybody's like, "Oh, well, you're an Auburn guy." Well, we're all a fan of somebody. But listen, what pays my mortgage is being right. I would much rather be right. So again, that's I care about her. Auburn hasn't sent me a check yet.
You're right. And, the good thing about this run for Alabama, we've all taken this all so well and have been very positive through the whole ordeal.
100%.
Yes, yeah.
100%. But no, I appreciate you guys.
All right, Jake, that's going to do it. Thank you, guys. Until next time, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide, and Jake doesn't have to say it.